Hi, I'm Enchanting Nubianette. Welcome back. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. A Brazilian police officer and his wife transitioned because of a heat stroke. They had a heat stroke in an overheated motel bathtub. And get this, everyone, they were celebrating their daughter's 4th birthday. How devastating. Now, their child, thankfully, was being watched by the officer's sister. He had served in the military police for several years. So this tragedy, as we know, everyone, it could have been prevented. And it's so sad because they're a young couple, and again, their child, only 4 years old. The tragedy could have been prevented by them avoiding the drugs and alcohol use. They could have checked the water temperature and avoided using space heaters in the enclosed room. So here's what happened, YouTube family. Jefferson Luis Sagaz, a 37-year-old military police officer in Brazil, and his wife, Ana Carolina Silva, 41 years old, were celebrating their baby girl's 4th birthday. How sweet and how precious. Now, they had spent the day out, they had drinks, and then later the couple even went to the club, dancing, socializing, having more fun. After the kids had the fun, the adult wanted to have the fun. That's very common. However, after that, they checked into a motel called Dallas Motel in Santa Catarina around midnight. Like I said earlier, they left their daughter in the care of Jefferson's sister. Thankfully, they did that. They were thinking that they would be back to pick her up the next morning, but they never came back. The family got worried. They knew they were hanging out. They knew they were having a good time after the child's party, and all the children had their fun. But afterwards, many hours in the wee morning hours, and even afterwards, they didn't see them. They didn't hear anything from them. They were not receiving any responses. So they called the police. And when the police showed up at the motel, they found both Jefferson and Ana transitioned in the bathtub. So devastating. The water, everyone had reached a scorching 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And on top of that, there was a space heater blasting heat into the room. Now, I don't know why they had, so much heat, like a space heater, because again, they're in Brazil, and maybe, in that area, maybe it gets cool at night. That could be the only, reasoning for it, because we know that Brazil is located in South America, but at nighttime, it may be the cool breezes, like, most Caribbean areas where the temperature drop. But for them to have a space heater so high. Now, the toxicology reports showed high levels of alcohol and traces of the C, that drug, in their systems. So now let's talk about how this tragedy could have been prevented. So we know that substance use and heat do not mix at all. I don't use any substances, but for people who do, this is a known fact. And of course, through science and also research, we know not to, combine these two. Because alcohol and the C can dull your senses. It makes people usually very sleepy. And it definitely stops the body from reacting to danger. It makes you very, very slow. You don't have that instant reaction or awareness. So that's what happened here. And then most likely they passed out because of the heat. But they didn't even feel the heat rising. Another thing is that hot tubs should never be that hot. A safe water temperature is around 100 to even 104 degrees Fahrenheit maximum. But honestly, that is very high. I mean, I would say 90 to 95. But, some people, they can tolerate high heat, but definitely not anything over 104 and 105 degrees, because anything above that can cause heat stroke, especially if you're dehydrated and under the influence. So, with them having the alcohol, which we know dehydrates a body unless you're replenishing it by a lot of water, using a lot of water, and then using those drugs also, horrible combination. I don't know, they just were not thinking, and it's both people. One of them, I think, should have been the responsible one to say, you know what, let's not do this, or let's stop here. And again, the space heaters in a small room, very dangerous. They raise the temperature and they can turn a warm bath into a very fatal one, which is what happened here. Now, from what I know, reading the articles online, Jefferson had been on the force for several years, and many people have said that he was a very loving father. And the mother, Anna, she ran a nail salon, and she was known as a kind, hardworking woman. Now, her family even said that she wasn't a drug user and might have been pressured into it that night. I don't know. It's very sad when you have a spouse who does, these type of um, unhealthy habits, and then wants to coerce, you know, the other spouse into it. And you really need to be a stronger one, because again, you need to stay healthy and you need to be responsible and focused for your child's sake and for your own life. So now their daughter, like I mentioned earlier, she just turned 4. Now she's left without parents, all because of their decisions. Again, decisions determine destiny. So she's now being cared for by the family. But this type of loss is so tragic. Again, her parents could have been alive, and they're very young. They could have had many decades growing with her, you know? So that baby girl's birthday, just that date alone, she will forever carry the weight of this tragedy all the time throughout her entire life. But everyone, especially as adults, and if you're a parent, you really need to do a lot better. You have to celebrate responsibly, first of all. Yes, you have the child's party and you want to spend some time, keep the romance alive. I definitely get that. But for both of you to be taking substances and on top of that go into a hot tub with a high heat, that is very careless. It's unfortunate. They're not here to defend themselves, but it's extremely, sad, because they definitely could have watched out for each other. And that's a way they could have protected their daughter, by being in her life. And now her aunt and the rest of his family need to take care of her. One minute she sees her parents, celebrating, having fun with them, and the next, they're gone. That's a lot for a little girl to deal with, or a child to deal with. Very, very traumatizing. This is a very sad story. But I definitely wanted to, give you information, raise awareness about the hot tub safety. And, there are people, of course, that will continue to take substances. We know that. But as far as, using it in a hot tub, or even driving, or even, using any machinery, that's a no-go. Everyone knows already from the signs, advanced, signs, that these are things that we cannot combine. And, may that those parents rest in peace. And, my condolences for each and every family member, and for the little girl as well, because she's not even in kindergarten yet. And she has this huge loss of both parents. So, everyone, please leave a comment below, regarding this case. And thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And I've been checking comments. I've either, left a thumbs up or I even leave a comment in response. But I thank you so much for watching, and so many new people have subscribed to my channel as well. Truly appreciate it. I can't wait till I'm well over 1,000 subs. I cannot wait. So I'm really, focused on being very consistent and, sharing with you news that is relevant and that we could all learn from as well. Especially as an educator, I think it's so important that even if someone, has a tragedy or makes a mistake, we can definitely learn from it and share with others to prevent that, you know, um, incident from occurring. So again, thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Stay safe wherever you are, whether you're indoors or outdoors. And please keep your head on a swivel as well.